Hello and welcome to another episode of Black Atlantic Weekly. I'm Clinton Davis and this is Hilary LeBlanc. And this week we're very excited for ByBlacks Restaurant Week to be featuring one of the restaurants. We are going to be talking this week to Frany'z Kitchen, a Nigerian cuisine operating out of Sackville, Nova Scotia. How are you
Ooh,
doing today, Francis?
I'm good. You?
I'm very good. Before we get started, Hilary.
Yeah, so with our land acknowledgement, we would like to acknowledge that Clinton is in the unceded territory of the Wolastoqiyik, Mi'kmaq, and Pescotomakati people. The territory is covered by the treaties of peace and friendship, which these nations first signed with the British Crown in 1726. The treaties did not deal with the surrender of lands and resources, but in fact recognized Mi'kmaq and Wolastoqiyik title and established the rules for what was to be an ongoing relationship between nations. And as we know, I being in a different place, I acknowledge that I am on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe and the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. I also acknowledge that the area I sit in, which is Toronto, is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaty, signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. Let's get into this episode. Feel that beat though. You really outdid yourself with that intro.
Glad you like it. Is it too loud? I don't want the
I
listeners.
love it. I was just like,
Yeah.
That's a surprise. I don't want the listeners to be hearing our voice at one level though, and then a lot of people podcast in their earphones. I hope that didn't break anyone's eardrums.
If it did that, consider that our apologies. Anyway,
Yeah,
Francis, welcome to the
restaurant
show.
week.
thank you.
How are you doing today? How you told us a little bit before we started, but tell us, how is Sackville, Nova Scotia on this morning?
I'm currently in Halifax, but it's the
Okay.
same like weather.
Mhm.
It's super cold. It's like 4 degrees. I'm happy that it's not snowing yet. I heard it's gonna snow at some point, but I'm just soaking up the cold. But yeah, it's good. I'm okay.
There's
Good,
a
good, good, good.
very small chance we might get like slightly warm weather again before Christmas. You never know in these climates nowadays, but you can't. We won't count on that. But can you, before we talk about things like restaurants and business and stuff like that, can you introduce yourself to our listeners? Can you tell us about yourself? Um, did you grow up in Nova Scotia? Just anything. Just who is Francis?
Okay. Hi, I'm Frances. I just got married this year, so it's no longer Frances Dadin
Congratulations.
Ali, but it's
Okay.
Frances Cooper Ali. I've been in Nova Scotia since 2010. I came to school. I graduated from Dalhousie University. Um, and I, while in school, I was cooking, I was doing hair, and right now I'm a licensed cosmetologist. I'm also a chef at Franny's Kitchen. All this, I would say, is my baby, my business, and yeah, I don't really have a fun life, but like, it's all about business for me.
Do you enjoy business? Why, if you
Yeah,
say it's not fun, why are you in business?
no,
You were in the hair
no, like,
industry, and I'm actually in the hair industry myself. Um, you
I'm like, I don't have a fun life outside of working, like business. So, um, if you ask me what's my favorite thing to do, I would say it's either cooking
Mhm.
or doing hair, and that has to do with business or money, right? But yeah,
See,
Um,
I would say that one, I feel like that's so, and not to be like stereotypical, but like what a Black person response to be like, my fun is my work and my work is my life, because that's my dad, that's my grandmother, that's me, that's us, that's everyone I know is like I live for my passion and my passion is my job because I need the money. Like I feel like that's so sort of ingrained in a culture of like what we want for our lives. And like I get that a lot because I go to a lot of events and I do a lot of media things, and everyone's like, where's your relaxation? Where's your fun? And I'm like, no, my fun is feeling successful and getting all these things done. So I mean, I wouldn't say that it's not fun. I think that you're finding your fun maybe in your success, which we get to hear about, and that's not a bad thing. I think positioning it like I don't have fun sounds bad. It sounds like you're having a great time. You're cooking
Yeah,
and living
I
life.
I think that's what you were trying to say. You find entrepreneurship to be fun. It's a rush for you. Is that correct?
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yes.
Growing
And
up
I
in
had to
Toronto,
put
there
it
was
there.
you have to what?
I had to put that in there because some people
Yep.
ask me like, "What's fun for you? Like, what do you do on your free time?" And I'm like, "I don't have any."
Work. Yeah. Yeah, I growing up in
Same.
Toronto, it was kind of characteristic that like, if you're not working three jobs, you're not a real Jamaican, and it's weird to take pride in that because it does reflect the fact that of how expensive everything is and how hard it can be at points to, we should be
Hmm.
able to enjoy life, but I get it. I feel everything you're saying. Um,
Yeah.
you left Nigeria to come to
Hmm.
Canada to go to school. What was that like for
Yeah.
you? Why did you leave Nigeria to come to Canada? Was it everything you expected? And when you got here, were you happy about that choice within the first few years?
Good question. I got a scholarship from my government.
Mhm.
I'm from the south of Nigeria, which is Port Harcourt River State. Back then, my province, or I would say state, um, had a how would I put it? Had something for youth, so like people who just came out of came out of secondary school. So you write an
Mhm.
exam. If you pass it, you get a scholarship to school abroad. So they take different students to different countries, and I landed in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and it was a full, all throughout university kind of scholarship. So I was really fortunate to be part of the students from Port Harcourt, River State, Nigeria, to get a scholarship to be here. When I came, I was 18 years. I turned 19 that year. That was 2010, Ju- July 12th, 2010. Um, it was a little bit challenging because the weather was cold. Well, it was summer, and I went outside. It was sunny, but I did a U-turn back into my hostel because I was like, it's super cold. The food, everything was so new to me. It took like a year or two to kind of like get into like a good rhythm and like know the weather and just like my classes and everything. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, it was a little bit challenging, but I'm here.
Okay. Now, did you say you were from around the Port Harcourt area?
Yes, Port Harcourt, River
Okay.
State. Yeah.
Okay, so I just like whoever's watching us on YouTube as opposed to listening, I always like to show people, as you know, a lot of people think Africa is just the one country and one place with like one capital. So I like to show the people who are listening where exactly these places are. So yeah,
Hmm.
very close to the water. There is a
Yes.
large Nigerian population in New Brunswick and probably in Nova Scotia as well. But
Absolutely.
interesting. What are some of the challenges you had other than the cold when you got here?
Um, I would say language barrier. I mean, in
Okay.
Nigeria, like we have we speak English.
English schools.
Um,
Yep.
I also like came from a private primary school and university where like you learn French, but I did not take that to heart. But the way I speak or the way I say things or the way I pronounce things, I always found like people be like, what are you saying? Oh, like it was sometimes it was a little bit challenging for me, like understanding different things when it come when I was in school, like classes and all that. I had to go see my professors to kind of break down everything. It was a little bit challenging, and not having my family or having um
Yeah.
a support system here. It was, yeah, it was brutal. And the food too. I remember when I I went into the the cafeteria and I ate the banana. I broke down in tears. I was like, this doesn't taste like home.
No
Because
flavor,
back
right? Yeah. The fruit doesn't taste the same here. I know that. I know that.
no.
Yeah.
The banana was, I was like, what is this? I spoke to someone about it and they were like, when you go to the superstore, try getting the organic banana. So that's going to be a little bit similar to what you have back home. And then I realized that, yeah, I need to get organic stuff, and organic here is very expensive. So
Everything
I
is.
started cooking um, in my, what would I say? Not the cafeteria, but like in hostels, you have kitchens. So I would get my ingredients from the Nigerian store. Well,
Hmm.
there was no Nigerian store back then, but there was somebody who would call to get Nigerian ingredients from. I would just keep cooking and go to the cafeteria to just maybe eat the breakfast or take the pop. But yeah, the food, weather, and the language was a little bit challenging.
I'm
Last quick
curious.
little question, Hillary, before
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. I wanted to know. First of all, I didn't know that Nigeria offered scholarships to help people go to school in Canada, or is it anywhere? And also, I just wanted to know, were the professors very helpful at at Dalhousie when you had issues understanding due to um, just different dialects of English that you may not have been used to?
So for the first question, you know how like you have Arab students coming to Canada and some of them are on scholarship. I wouldn't
Yep.
say it's whole of Nigeria. It was a thing that the government of River State did for its people back then. Um, I think it happened while a governor was in seat, so it was something like he did for the students, right? But it ended because my younger sister is in BC. She came 2013, so it ended a few years ago. But every province or state in Nigeria have something different for their own like indigents.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
And the second question, jeez, I can't remember the second
About
question.
I
whether
just wanted to know if people
professors
were
were
helpful.
helpful.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think a lot of people would say that New
Oh,
Brunswick and maybe even Nova Scotia was a lot different even 13 years ago in terms of their tolerance, their um, acceptance of other cultures and stuff like that. So I'm just
mhm.
wondering, were the professors helpful or not?
Oh gosh, the Housey professors, my professors were helpful. Um,
Good.
I struggled a lot with school, um, and I've never really come out to tell people that I also struggle with learning disability and
Yep.
just mental health and all that stuff. Um,
Okay.
I never got, how would I put it? I never was on a dean list or anything, but on my graduation, I had my assistant dean of science. I had heads of offices, the Black Student Association, like the director there, the registrar's office. I had top people at my graduation dinner at a hotel. And these were like my powerhouse. These were people who helped me through school. I even had professors who would take me from their office to the doctor or like the hospital or the mental health office. Um, I had what is it called? Study with Success um, staff at the house. They helped me. We'll sit down. She would help like with my schedule, everything I had to do. If I have kids, I would always tell people to go to Dow. Like it's expensive, but the support system I had was huge. And that is one of the reasons why during COVID I was like, what am I going to do for international students? What am I going to do for my people? I cooked 3 plates of meals like jollof rice, fried rice, and I gave it to students around the Housey and other universities in Halifax. So because of the support system I had, I I want to be also like I want to be a support system to other students as well.
That's great. I'm always so curious about that because, Canada brings a lot of immigrants here who don't get the support they need. They're not given the proper information, and they find it really hard to adapt. So thank you.
And I feel like you maybe started to tease a little bit about my next question, because I am curious how, you come from Nigeria, you end up in Nova Scotia, you go to Dal, and then you're going to end up certified as a cosmetologist, but also opening Franny'z kitchen and Nigerian cuisine. So can you talk us through how you go from aesthetics to food? And I feel like I might have heard it in that, giving back and sense of community, but please tell us how you found yourself in both of those niches and from one to the other.
Sure. As a Nigerian, our parents always want to know that you graduated. So you get doctors, accountants, lawyers, like no matter what you do, no matter your passion, they always want to make sure that you have a degree. So because of how I struggled through school, my parents were like a huge backbone with my friends as well. But they were like, you know what? Go through school, have your degree, and do whatever you want to do. They would always support. So back in school, I took full full-time classes, and while taking classes I was doing hair at the side. At first, it was just to give me extra money, but I found that I love to beautify people. Like, there's this joy in me when someone gets up from my chair and look like they've won $1 million. So, from making it like a side hustle, um, I walked through like getting my license. And even while I was doing hair, I was also catering. I was cooking little portions for people around. I never did advertise myself, but because of my the taste of my food, everything I do, it was word of mouth that got
Oh,
me like every
wow.
every every moment or like every step. When I was working at the registrar's office part-time. I was cooking part-time. I was doing hair part-time. I was going to school full-time. So um that's how everything just like started. And after school, I was like, you know what, I love social work. Like, I have a my degree is in gender and women's studies and certificate in disability management. But I find myself wanting to feed people or like make people smile. I feel like this COVID period made me to realize that food is very essential. My mom is a huge giver. During Christmas, she gives people free meals or like raw food for them to celebrate Christmas. So I've never turned down anybody that asks me for food. So that's one of the things, like the passion or like what motivated me to go into cooking.
That's incredible. I think that's such a sweet story. I also love that everything sort of snowballed from word of mouth.
Yeah.
I'm very curious. So talk us through some of your business evolution with Franny'z, which is sort of, you know, why we're speaking with you today. But also, like, we've asked this question before. We were very lucky to have had, you know, other Nigerian restaurateurs on, and I'm always so curious knowing what the, you know, demographic of Nova Scotia frequently looks like, although Nova Scotia definitely blacker than Moncton. But I'm curious what reception was like to you, and, like, you know, have you had, you know, customers and people wanting your catering services that look more like us or are more of the whiter variety? And I'm just curious about all of that. Spill the tea. Who are your customers?
I would say 50% or 60% of my customers are from the Nigerian community. And because I have layers upon layers on me. One, I'm a Nigerian, I'm an immigrant, and I'm a lesbian. So it's like I have different community members, and everyone wants to try something different. And one thing I love about Nova Scotians and people from Halifax is the non-blacks, they love to try different foods. Um, they they are open to something hot, something spicy for the first time. But if they if they can handle the spice, they come back again. And one another thing again I love about Nova Scotia and the people here is we promote um how would I put it? We promote things that are done in Halifax, things that are done in Nova Scotia. Like there's a lot of businesses out there or organizations that will say buy local, and that is one thing that has helped my business. Um, and before I came out queer, um, I tried to kind of, because I know my people, some of them are just like they don't want to deal with that sexuality and all that stuff. So I used to be like, maybe that is going to break my business. So I tried to keep my sexuality outside of my business and just promotes all what I do. It's funny because right now I still have two Facebooks. One is for like the community. I'm not there to put my sexuality out on in people's faces, but I use one personally for like business and to promote my food and my hair. um, and because of the fact that I have Nigerian, like there's a huge Nigerian community in Nova Scotia. Um, immigrants, there, there's something about immigrants. Like when someone knows you're an immigrant and they're immigrants, they want to like it's like a small community as well. They want to promote or support you. And I say that because like right now my I have a space downtown, and the owner of the space, she is Chinese,
Hmm.
and she is all about supporting immigrant women and just supporting people that kind of have that struggle with her. So that's a plus for me. And then I have um, Africans, I have Caribbeans, because our food is a little bit similar. The spice, we love our Scotch bonnet pepper. So
Okay.
that spice, that flavor makes like brings us together, right? We may not have the same accent, like we speak Pidgin and Jamaicans speak Patois, but that food, when we come together, it's a beautiful thing. So that's a plus for me as well. Then I have the general public, so it's a mixture.
That's amazing. I want to ask a question and derail, and first, as a queer person, it's not often we get other queer people on the show. And I'm
We've
just
had a good
so
amount. One,
have we?
two.
I
Three,
can only
four,
think
four
of
or five.
a 4 or 5 out of 60 episodes. I'm just saying, as a minority,
I didn't mean to
doesn't feel
interrupt.
like
Go ahead.
enough.
Yes, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
No,
Yeah.
I'm just curious. And you make this as personal as you want, but I've never really heard of what Nigeria is like in terms of their queer community. And I know we hear a lot about different African countries and communities usually being against queer culture. And I've done some reporting on that. And I don't think that Nigeria was necessarily one of those statistics, but I'm just very curious what their queer culture is like, if they have one, or if they're not about that lifestyle, just out of my own curiosity.
Oh gosh. Um in Nigeria, being gay, or like you see, like someone sees you or whatever, sometimes they stone people, like abuse people, and it's 14 years imprisonment.
I was wrong. It
So
is okay. Wow.
So
yeah.
still,
Um
is that still the case?
yes.
Okay.
I was a little bit stressed out because so since I came here 2010,
Mhm.
I wasn't home till this August, no, July. So it took me 13 years to go back home, and I surprised
Wow.
my parents. But before that, I was prepping my wife. I was like, okay, when we go there, I'm not gonna call you babe, I'm not gonna hold your hands, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do that. It was just a lot. But she understands like the culture, understands everything. It's just like you hear different news of somebody going to a different country, going to smoke weed or holding hands or doing stuff like that. I mean, I put myself in both shoes. Like if you're going to a different country, at least you know their rules and regulation, because you can't just walk into someone's house and feel like you own it, right? So I respect everybody's decision. It's not right, but for my safety and the safety of anyone that is queer, I'm always like, be careful. Um, I've not posted like my wedding professional photos online, Instagram or anything, because it's just like so. And even when I went back home, my mom and dad were like, "Don't tell people you're here." I did not really. If you're not like my best of friends, I wouldn't trust you because I'm out, right? I don't want to go somewhere with somebody in Nigeria and the next thing I'm just like, they do something harmful to me because I'm queer, right? So
Yeah.
it's a gray area. And people who are queer back home, they hide. The ones who find that I know struggle are the gay men that are feminine. Like, I feel so bad. Like, they have to hide. Like, even though they hide, it comes out, right? I
Yeah.
don't think it's very safe for them. Then you have the masculine women. Like, when they walk past, you know, obviously, like they're queer. So I get scared for people like um that in the community. But me as a femme, I could go anywhere. I could be who I want to be without anybody knowing. Um, yeah, it's quite difficult.
That was actually a really good question, Hillary, because before you even brought that up, Hillary, I've learned a lot more about Nigeria the past 4 or 5 years, especially for when my Jamaican father did a DNA test and it came back as being mostly from Nigeria. I then learned that most of the transatlantic slave trade that people brought to Jamaica came from Nigeria. And I was going to say there are so many similarities in the kind of foods that we eat. But now, even with you saying that, it does strike like that. I don't know if that culture was brought over as well, because it's the same thing in Jamaica. Like they would stone you
Yeah.
if you were queer, and it was illegal. I don't think it was punishment by death. But if they got you in jail, that's one thing. But they would stone you to death on the street. And I think that law
Hmm.
had been redacted where it was legal. And I'd have to look it up. It might be back to being illegal again. And I think as a culture, they're changing a bit. But
Hmm.
more just the similarities between these two cultures just continue to stand out to me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I had written an article for ByBlacks actually, which we will get into soon,
yeah,
about the work that Rainbow Railroad does in terms of trying to get people from these countries safely immigrating to Canada, where obviously it is much easier to be and identify as queer. And that night they had been honoring Justin Trudeau with the fact that they were about to finally make a permanent avenue in immigration, to sort of say that you're trying to come across for those purposes of like, the words aren't being like safe, but basically trying to escape one of these countries where you can die for just being gay. And there were so many countries listed that's why I couldn't remember. And I think, we know so many Nigerian people that I often forget, and like I don't think that that's the way that it is there, but I'm glad that you were able to have a positive trip, and that no harm came your way, and that you are happily married, and that I thank you for telling us that story as well, because I'm sure it's not necessarily easy to share either. I can't imagine what that's like. But I will pivot now to hard detour, coming back to Franny's Kitchen, and tell us a little bit about your relationship with Restaurant Week. So as I was asking you before we started, I was able in May to go to Nova Scotia, to Halifax with ByBlacks to be part of their media day. And apparently behind my back, Roger Dundas got some food from Franny's Kitchen without me. But tell us a little bit about your experience with ByBlacks and why you wanted to participate in Restaurant Week.
I'm all about the community, the culture. In Halifax, we don't have a lot of Black businesses or like restaurants compared to Toronto, where you can just step out of your house and maybe a few blocks away you see like a Jamaican restaurant or like a Black owned business. And I think that ByBlack is a beautiful initiative or organization to help promote Black people that have businesses, especially the food industry. Because it's a huge challenge, because some of the foods like we have on our menu, the ingredients are shipped from back home. It's double the amount. And when people look at our menu, be like, oh, it's expensive. Like a plate of jollof rice and barbecue chicken or beef, you're looking at 22 or 23 or $25. And people be like, why is it so expensive? We can go to a Chinese restaurant and get a lot of food for like $13. But they forget that the way we cook our food, or the ingredients, the seasoning, all those things play a huge role in the menu. So having ByBlack promotes Black businesses, and not just Black businesses but international or like immigrant businesses as well, helps to break or like bring us to that how would I put it? It brings us out there. It helps promote our business, put a little bit of money in our pockets, because now we buy Black, we're able to promote ourselves, and our people can support us. Like you have different festivals every year, like year round. It's always good to have something of our own too. So that's one of the reasons I joined this the ByBlack Restaurant Week. In as much as I am part of the week, the ByBlack Restaurant Week, my food is not going to be the same price I would like sell regularly. You have a combo for which is like 5% cheaper than what it's usually would be. It's a way to promote myself and to save money for my community as well.
Amazing. We've heard that before too, that I think that it's a great way for someone to get a bit of a deal who wants to maybe, try some food that they've not tried before, but also for recurring customers who, already are a fan. I think it's a good way to, get some of your delicious food, which I'm still beating myself up that I didn't last time, but I'll be back with Roger, I'm sure, and we will get some. Clinton, were you about to ask a question? I feel like I cut you off.
No, you didn't cut me off. I mean, to anyone watching, you can see that my camera has essentially completely. You can't see me, right? It's zonked out, and I've just been trying to get that fixed. What I was going to say is, if we wanted to talk about the menu a bit for those watching, I brought up your webpage here, Francis, and do you want to talk about some of the dishes that you offer? I closed the page, but I'd seen some great reviews about a couple different key items. I won't even try to open up more tabs right now because my computer's not cooperating. But I can click on anything you want me to click on here. And if you wanted to highlight some of the best dishes people could try outside of the, am I back? Outside of the ByBlacks promotions. We'd love to hear more about the food.
And I want to add to tell us a bit about the catering stuff as well, because you do catering and then you also do the delivery. So if you can explain that and some of the dishes, we'd love to hear about both.
Can you see that I brought up your website?
Yes.
Okay, so just you tell me where to go for those watching on YouTube, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the past, present, and the future of Franny'z Kitchen. So looking at the menu right now, it made me smile because, like, when I started in Sackville, I wanted to do something that is different. It's fun, like Monday menu, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But I found that, I mean, that sparkle, like you're so excited, you have a lot of ideas when you start up a business. I did that, but I noticed that it wasn't feasible a little bit for me because I did not have enough staff to kind of manage what I had in my head. So then I moved away from the weekly menu to just having like all like what is going to be available. And whatever is not available, I took it off from the Uber Eat, DoorDash, or Skip the Dishes. And also on my website. But for the menu, my general menu is you have jollof rice, peppered barbecue chicken, peppered beef, peppered fish. You have peppered tofu. And I do that because, I also have fried rice. Some people don't eat chicken, they can eat meat. People who don't like fish or vegetarians or vegan can pick up peppered tofu and fried rice. So I try to make it open for different set of people.
Absolutely.
And there's a part where it says Franny'z Kitchen, Taste of Port Harcourt. So since I'm from Port Harcourt, that's where Burna Boy is from. I'm so proud of being from Port Harcourt. I promote, or I would say I sample like the cuisine or like the culture. So in Nigeria we have 36 states. I would say 36 province. So it's in between province and state. I always use that so some people would understand what I mean. And each state / province has their own culture, their type of like ethnic or that the food. In Port Harcourt, we're known for bole and fish. So bole means plantain, and for fish, it's mackerel fish. So barbecue, plantain, and fish in hot spicy sauce. So a lot of Africans love that cuisine. Jollof rice is a wide, like, not only Nigeria has jollof rice, you have Ghana jollof, you have Senegalese, you have different jollof, but I think Nigerian jollof is the best. So
of course you do. Yeah, it is good though. Go on. Yeah.
um, I also have different types of soup. We have okra soup. We have afang soup. We have eforiro. Um, we have seafood okra. Seafood okra is one of my biggest sellers. A lot of because like when you brought up the map, you talked about, oh, we're close to the water. We
Hmm.
love our seafood. Like a native or a fisherman's soup for Port Harcourt needs to have anything you can think that's under this, like in the sea, it has to be in it. So it's a huge seller. What again? Beef suya. So back home, we call them malams. So they're the Muslim men that barbecue beef at the side of the road. It's called beef suya. Um, I love it's a street food. I find that half of my customers love that. And that is my wife's favorite. Like she loves it's really spicy. Like you legit like tear up when you eat the beef suya. Um so it comes with either fried plantain or coleslaw, and you have veggie. If some people find it really spicy, but when you mix it with the slice of cucumber, slice of onion, or slice of tomato, it gives you a nice flavor like in your mouth. So it kind of reduces the spice, the hotness of the soya. So those are there's a lot on my menu, but these are the main ones that. Oh, and egusi soup. Everybody, well, I
Yeah,
would say everybody loves egusi soup.
yeah. I've had that. That's really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And some people use fufu, or some people would use pounded yam or poundo. Like you have plantain flour, plantain fufu. So it depends on what is available.
That all sounded super good. I'm so hungry. I haven't had breakfast.
I'm
That
pretty
sounded
hungry.
incredible. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Uh,
amazing.
wow. So we can hear the passion, obviously,
Mhm.
for your love of food shining through, and that is amazing. I liked learning more about the southern area of Nigeria. Right now, the way people can order food from you for ByBlacks Restaurant Week or just at any time is you do pickup. I think at least 3 days a week on average, and then there's also the catering option.
Yes. So right now I haven't posted a lot on my Instagram, but I get people who call or send text
I mean,
message. I
most of
always
your business has been word of mouth anyways, right? And I mean, there's no
yes.
marketing that's better than word of mouth. So that's incredible. If you don't need to advertise, that's great. But yeah, go on.
Um I I find myself all the time in the kitchen that I don't have the time to go on social media. I used to have someone who took care of like the social media part, but then it's a little bit pricey. I'm like, you know what? I would get back to it. But right now, my customers would text me and tell me this is what, like, I had somebody call me yesterday. They told me this is what they want to order. And and they know they have to give me like 24 hours like notice before um I deliver their food. So if someone orders food today, I deliver it to them tomorrow or next tomorrow, depending on all the ingredients if they are available. But for Buy Black Restaurants Week, um, I sent Roger the menu. I'm going to post it again on my page,
Hmm.
and I'm gonna give like the instruction. Like if you would like to order this, right? You order it the day before. I'm going to have everything available, and I'm going to deliver it because the kitchen, like it's a it's a school, so sometimes it's kind of difficult for people to find exactly where the location is. So I give the option for me to deliver it, and delivery this during Buy Black is going to be free, so people don't have to leave their house.
Are you telling us only now in the final hour that your kitchen that you're operating under is in a school? In the final hour, we get the coolest tidbit of info. Wait, briefly, can you tell how did that work out?
Um, how would I put it? I I've been looking for a spot for like
Mhm.
ever, and this organization told me they had a spot in Sackville, and said to me I can manage it and sell maybe coffee and stuff for them.
Uh-huh.
So it's gonna be like a shared place, but I would run the whole kitchen. I used to have, and in that kitchen, it's a carpentry college, but people can sit down to eat. But I did not want that because the liability and all that is too much. I just want a place to be able to cook and then deliver the food to people. So right now, I want to be able to save up, get my location downtown because I've had students sit on the bus for 45 minutes just to pick up a plate of rice. And when they come, I'm like,
Yeah,
I just want to hug them. And I
of course.
I take I like if the meal a plate is like $23, I give them like a lot of discount or give them extra stuff because just them coming to the location like it meant a lot to me. So I said to myself, instead of making people come sit on the bus or like drive down, I'm not going to be open. Like if you go on Google, I have a lot of reviews there and the hours, but I can't say I'm closed for just catering or pre-order. Google doesn't give that option. So I posted it on my Instagram saying like it's only delivery, it's only gonna be pre-orders till I find something I can afford downtown. But
Okay.
yeah.
So,
Amazing.
hmm
are you at 1000 Sackville
The
Street?
location is there, but
That's where people pick up.
yeah, that's where people pick up. But at this moment, it's just me doing delivery.
Of course. Gotcha.
Amazing. Wonderful. Thank you so much for telling us all about Franny's kitchen and Nigerian cuisine and your story and everything that getting to Dalhousie University. I think it was very interesting and compelling episode. And again, I am beating myself up that I have not tried any, but I just have to go back to Nova Scotia. That's fine. It's always on my list. It's always on the radar. I do plan to make a trip this coming summer. So
hmm
I will have to stop by. And now I want to see the school. Like now I want to make the trek and understand what's going on. That sounds so cool. So pre-order for ByBlacks Restaurant Week. This episode is coming out shortly before the week starts. So if you're hearing this episode and you've heard the delicious food on that menu, you now know where the website and the phone number on the screen right now. And they'll be in the description and in the chat if you are not seeing this episode visually. But pre-order that food so that you can participate in ByBlacks Restaurant Week, one of the many East Coast restaurants that are participating. But we're so excited we got to talk to you today, Francis.
Thank you. I just realized like the number you have has
Yeah,
changed.
I meant to ask you about
So
that. Yeah. So,
yes.
my computer
um,
I couldn't even see it on the screen. It is not cooperating this week. But let's get that off there. And you can just tell people the number. I wanted them to be able to text you. I was hoping that would be okay because that's how you take your
yes.
orders. That
Mhm.
people could text you.
So
Okay.
it's 902 402 9989. I'm
Amazing.
always available via text.
That's so
Okay.
funny. What a typical, owner of a restaurant. Just text me what food you want, and I'll deliver it to you. And again, free delivery for ByBlacks Restaurant Week. So shoot her a text, get some jollof
Yeah, like
rice. She's claiming it's the best, and I wouldn't doubt it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Next time I'm planning a trip to Halifax, I'll try to coordinate and swing through Sackville,
Yeah,
Nova Scotia to pick up some food as well.
amazing.
okay.
Okay. Thanks
you.
again for being on the show. Thanks for being our guest, and we're just so glad to learn more about different people, where they're from, what they're doing in Atlantic Canada. That's our whole reason for existing, and we hope to talk to you again soon. If you have any big events, make sure to message us so we can post on our pages and try to get the word out there for you.
And to everyone watching and listening, go check out ByBlacks Restaurant Week. Go to Franny'z.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.